It is Saturday morning and I am adding another flower to my sketchbook, and this time it's going to be the beautiful crocus. And I'm painting a special variety of crocus. In case you did not know, it is the one that gives out the saffron spice. So if you're following my channel recently, I am completing my book of flowers, a sketchbook of flowers, and here's how far I am. And I wanted to do these flowers in a particular view where I focuses on a single flower or maybe two, and it shows some part of the leaves, buds, and maybe a bit of the stem. First one was the iris. And now looking at that time, I didn't think I was very satisfied with it, but now when I look at it again, I actually like it. Then we had the hibiscus, and I wanted to do the darker hibiscus, the more typical hibiscus. And to get the colors right on this one was a little bit of a challenge, but I'm glad I tried it. And the next one was the sunflower. I always enjoy painting these, but I have to be honest, every time I paint one, I feel like, it could have been slightly better, and I feel the same way with this one as well. And the Himalayan blue poppy, a very special, very cool flower, and, something that I feel is so unique, and especially the violet and the blue petals. I mean, they just stand so unique against all the varieties of flowers that I have seen. The frangipanis, as a child I played with these, and they have a deep impression on my brain, and no wonder they were one of my subject. And then the tulips. Oh my God, I have an emotional connection with tulips, and if you know my channel, you know how many times I've painted them. So, and I was really happy with this particular rendition because it came out very different from what I had done in the past. So today we are going to do the crocuses, so stay tuned. So for this presentation of crocuses, let's take a look at the colors we used. And this came as a beautiful surprise to me, on an accident. Being an Indian, we very commonly use the saffron spice, both in food and, so many traditions. It's just, something that's so commonplace in the Indian lifestyle. And I discovered the crocus flowers, not in India, I did not care to do that much research. And when I looked at these flowers and, I saw these tiny flowers growing close to the ground and with the grass blades around it, it just looks so beautiful. And then I discovered a special variety of exactly this grows in the mountains in the Kashmir Valley, and it gives out the saffron spice. And this was a very pleasant surprise to me. And the reason I like to paint this variety is, these orange stamens and against the violet flowers, they just look so pretty. So every time I paint the crocuses, I know they have the yellow center, but these saffron threads that spring out of them, they just give a special beauty to the painting. Hope you feel the same and would give this a try. So let's take a look at the colors. And I'm going, starting with the yellows here. So with the stamens, I use the cadmium yellow pale, a very bright yellow. And I also added in a bit of permanent yellow deep. And the second yellow or the permanent yellow deep is not very necessary. If you want to skip it, that's totally fine. Initially I planned to use just the permanent yellow deep, and when I placed it on the violet, it did not give me that kind of brightness that I was seeking. So that's the reason why I added the cadmium yellow pale at the last moment. And the saffron threads were painted using Vermillion. Very beautiful color. Very pretty, very bright, and that's what these were meant to be against the violet petals. Just make a note that when you are painting these threads, just use a very saturated variety so they just sit on top of the violet, because watercolors are transparent, or you can use the gouache. That's fine too. And then now coming to the petals. The lightest of the violets, I used 3, was Lilac. And this one has some opacity to it, but it may seem very opaque when you put it on the tray, but when you start painting with it, it somehow, still gives the feeling of transparency. So that's my experience with Lilac. I have used it in a couple of paintings, and I was not disappointed. The next violet, I would say the next violet is the bright violet, very luminous, and it says luminous on the tube. So, again, did not disappoint me. Very pretty. And the darkest was the mineral violet, something that I have used in many of my paintings. So these 3, the lilac, the bright violet, and the mineral violet, came together to give me the beautiful petals of the crocus flower. And for the grass blades, a light and a dark, I used leaf green, a very bright, again luminous. I mean, every time I use leaf green and I swatch it, it just steals my heart. And finally, Undersea green from Daniel Smith. Both these greens are my go-to greens, very frequently used in many of my paintings, and they did the job perfectly well today. So I hope you enjoyed this session, and I hope you will give this a shot.